The 2015 death of Amanda Peterson appeared to be just another overdose tale from Hollywood. Her family, however, was aware that something wasn't right. She had been tidy. She was attempting to start over. After that, they discovered her unsent letters and journals. Nobody anticipated learning the truth about what had ruined Amanda Peterson. She was only 15 when it began in 1986. A sad secret that she kept for 29 years. The girl who had everything and lost it all was told the truth by her mother when she finally spoke out. On July 8, 1971, Amanda Peterson was born in Greeley, Colorado. She was the youngest of 3 children in an already remarkable household. Dr. James Peterson, her father, was a physician who treated throats, nostrils, and ears. Sylvia, her mother, raised the kids at home and looked after Amanda's early interests. Amanda was noticeable from the start. She appeared on stage for the first time at the age of 7. At the University of Northern Colorado, she portrayed Gretel Von Trapp in The Sound of Music. It was serious, not just adorable. After that one performance, she gave several, and soon casting directors were taking note. Her sister, Anne-Marie, and her older brother, James Jr., witnessed their younger sister transform from an ordinary small-town girl to someone who was obviously gifted. Amanda had already appeared in a major Hollywood movie by the time she was 11. She was one of the dancing extras in the 1982 film Annie. Many people are unaware, however, that she came very close to landing the lead role. Out of the more than 8,000 girls that tried out, she was one of the last 10. Even if she didn't understand, it was significant to be that close at such a young age. And that was just the beginning. Amanda was everywhere between the ages of 11 and 14. She made appearances in more than 50 TV ads. Even if they didn't yet know her name, people began to recognize her face. She also learned how to act on professional sets among seasoned celebrities by landing guest roles in TV series like Father Murphy and Silver Spoons. Amanda was cast as a co-star in the NBC series Boone in 1983. Amanda made a significant impact in her role as Squirt Sawyer, despite the fact that the show was canceled after only 13 episodes. She had just turned 12. However, she was already dealing with actual drama and sharing the screen with adult actors. She received 2 nominations for Young Artist Awards in consecutive years because of how well she performed. From there, everything happened quickly. Amanda landed her first significant film job in 1985. In the science fiction adventure Explorers, she portrayed Laurie Swenson. What's crazy is that River Phoenix and Ethan Hawke, the 2 boys she appeared with, were also very new to the film industry. The special effects were created by the same team that worked on Star Wars, and the film's director, Joe Dante, had a grand vision. Acting in a high-profile film at the age of 14 was something Amanda handled excellently. The hurried release of the film, which coincided with the massive live benefit concert in July 1985, caused it to do poorly at the box office. However, the film became a cult favorite after people found it on VHS. Amanda's biggest TV role appeared the very next year. She portrayed Sunny Sisk in the impactful miniseries A Year in the Life in 1986. It became the 3rd most watched miniseries nationwide that year, demonstrating how popular it was. Her performance was so remarkable that NBC decided to make the miniseries a full-length television program. In the 1987 to 1988 run, Amanda continued to play Sunny. Even though she was still a teenager, her acting had developed. As the granddaughter of an affluent but dysfunctional family, she had genuine emotional depth. In 1987, she even defeated Kimberly McCullough and Shannon Doherty to win the Young Artist Award for the role. Amanda was everywhere, whereas other young performers were having trouble finding consistent work. She continued to appear in television films, such as And the Children Shall Lead, 1985, and Best Kept Secrets, 1984. Before she was even 16, she had already developed a comprehensive resume. It was uncommon for young actors to do that kind of steady employment at the time. It's obvious that casting directors recognized something special and powerful in her. Amanda had already appeared in over 50 commercials, for TV shows, 5 made-for-TV films, 1 Emmy-winning miniseries, and 5 full-length motion pictures by the time she was 20. It was uncommon for her to switch between cinema and television with such ease, and her early work did more than just benefit her. In the 1980s, it influenced teen cinema. She may not have been famous immediately because of her performance in Explorers. However, it turned into one of those films that people viewed in the past and recognized her skill. It was made even more significant by the fact that she collaborated with performers who would go on to become well-known, like River Phoenix and Ethan Hawke. In 1987, Amanda Peterson was only 15 years old when an incredible event occurred. Out of over 200 females, she was chosen to play Cindy Mancini in an adolescent film that would forever alter her life. Originally titled Boy Rents Girl, Molly Ringwald and other well-known actresses were even considered for the part. Amanda, however, was unique. During their screen test, she and Patrick Dempsey clicked instantly. According to the filmmakers, she felt more like a genuine teenager than someone pretending to be one because of her candid and lighthearted answers. She had just appeared in a few episodes of the 1985 film Explorers and was still being credited as Mandy Peterson at the time. However, everything changed when they were granted permission to utilize the Beatles song Can't Buy Me Love from 1964. Amanda appeared in one of the most popular teen films of the 1980s, and that song got the new title. She found filming the film in Tucson, Arizona, to be challenging. To play Cindy correctly, Amanda had to master authentic cheerleading routines. The actors filmed sequences in Tucson Mall, Tucson High School and even the Pima Air Museum's aeroplane graveyard. On screen, the well-known lawnmower kissing scene appears to be enjoyable, but it was tense behind the scenes. Because Amanda's outfit kept getting messed up, it took 15 takes. Cindy's home in the film wasn't even a real one. It was an exclusive clubhouse created by a renowned architect in the Hill Farm area. Amanda worked with real high school cheerleaders for weeks to ensure that everything she did was authentic. She didn't cut corners. She desired for everything to seem real. Nobody thought the film would be a hit when it was released on August 14, 1987. Even though it only cost $1.5 million to produce, it brought in over $31 million. When Amanda received an invitation to appear on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show, he immediately remarked that she would be the next big thing. He was not mistaken. Amanda received offers from major studios and was featured on magazine covers just a few weeks after the film's premiere. She was very likable, according to the New York Times, and complimented her and Patrick Dempsey on their on-screen chemistry. Despite its modest beginnings, the movie made one of the highest sums of money of any teen film released during that decade. In a matter of months, Amanda went from being unknown to famous, but behind the scenes, things weren't always ideal. Because Patrick Dempsey preferred to remain in character at all times, Amanda occasionally found it difficult to film. His age was 21. And he made things unpleasant with his technique acting. It was difficult for Amanda to handle emotional scenes because he would surprise her with comments that weren't in the script. It was particularly challenging during romantic moments when she was unsure of his next move or words. Amanda once claimed that although it took her some time to get used to him, his commitment ultimately strengthened their bond. They got along considerably better after the filming was over, and always spoke kindly about each other in later interviews. In 1988, Amanda took a totally different kind of role. She played Diana in The Lawless Land, a post-apocalyptic sci-fi movie where love was forbidden. Her character was the daughter of a rich and powerful man, and she went away with someone from the lower class. Her father sent a killer named Roadkill to stop them. The picture was wild and gritty, a major difference from romantic comedies. While it didn't become a hit, it demonstrated Amanda could play serious and edgy parts too. Then, in 1989, she joined the movie Listen to Me, acting with Kirk Cameron and Jamie Gertz. In a debate team composed of teenagers from underprivileged backgrounds, Amanda portrayed Donna Loomis, a college student. They were awarded scholarships and ultimately appeared before the Supreme Court to debate abortion. Filming took place in Malibu, particularly at Pepperdine University, and it was released on May 5, 1989. It made a little over $4.2 million. Amanda wasn't the lead this time, but she still played an essential role. It was another indicator that she was exploring new things and wasn't afraid of serious themes. She played Bernadette Callan in Vinnie's Blind Date, an episode of Doogie Howser, MD, in 1990. She then starred in the television film Throwaway Wives, also known as Hell Hath No Fury, in 1991. In the same year, she starred as Abigail Baywood in the drama Posing, inspired by 3 real stories, which focused on women who posed for Playboy. All of these were more adult, emotional roles. Far from the vivacious teenager she was initially known for. Amanda obviously wanted to establish herself as more than just a teenage movie star, despite her youth. In 1994, Amanda played her final role in a film. In Windrunner, a drama about a high school girl whose father was incarcerated, she portrayed Julie Moore. The story was set in Utah, which has stunning desert and natural landscapes. Despite being criticized by many around her, Amanda's character discovered healing and hope when she connected with the enigmatic White Horse. It was her last movie, and it came out on June 1, 1994. Amanda then left the Hollywood industry. She was only 23. America's sweetheart once was Amanda Peterson. But there was a storm she couldn't get out of behind that flawless grin. The goal of her first marriage, which took place in the early 1990s, was to start again. Rather, it evolved into something more sinister. She believed that marrying Joseph Robert Skutvik would provide her with stability. However, Joseph wasn't the man she had assumed him to be. He was domineering. He claimed to be shielding her from the spotlight in Hollywood. In actuality, though, he was interrupting her. He took calls for her agency. He prevented her from attending auditions. He advised her to stay at home and stop acting. She was just 22. Amanda once claimed to her family that he had even become violent with her during fights, leaving her with bruises. She put cosmetics on them. The marriage lasted only 3 years, ending in 1993. Even so, he attempted to steal half of her earnings from Can't Buy Me Love. Amanda's trust was destroyed by the relationship. It altered her perspective on love. She began to fear intimacy, a fear that would follow her throughout her life. Amanda met a new man at a Colorado Springs hospital at the beginning of 1994. David Hartley was his name. He was a gentle, courteous medical technician who was 28 years old. Amanda didn't seek love, yet it came quickly. He gave her a $2,500 ring when he proposed to her about 6 months later while they were vacationing in the mountains. On May 15, 1994, they were married in front of 50 guests in a modest church. The movie that made Amanda renowned served as the inspiration for her attire. She screened some of her films and played music from the 1980s during the reception. It was the first time David had seen them. Strangers approached them for autographs while they were on their honeymoon in Aspen. He became aware of Amanda's former fame at that point. She identified herself as a retired actress on the marriage certificate. She was only 23. On March 22, 1997, Amanda gave birth to her first child, a boy named Jonathan. His weight was just more than 7 pounds. And she gave her everything to being a mother from the day he was born. She made home videos for hundreds of hours. She even declined an acting contract of $75,000 in order to remain at home with him. September 8, 2000, saw the birth of her daughter, Katie. Amanda had an emergency C-section after a difficult pregnancy. She persevered despite gaining 60 pounds. She coached plays, assisted with drama club, and volunteered at her child's school. Between 2003 and 2007, she recorded all 47 of Jonathan's football matches. She took more than 10,000 pictures and filled scrapbooks with thousands of pages. Amanda didn't care that her teachers thought she was overly involved. Her children were everything. Everything began to fall apart in 2003. Amanda received a bipolar disorder diagnosis that year. Her moods started to fluctuate drastically, and she didn't always take her medication. She would reorganize closets all night long. She was admitted to the hospital 4 times between 2003 and 2005. She even attempted suicide once. Living with her got too difficult, according to her spouse. 5 occurrences between 2000 and 2012 are listed in her arrest history. The worst happened in September 2005, when Amanda was arrested for cocaine possession and imprisoned for 87 days. Katie's 5th birthday was missed by her. Although Amanda was caught stealing prescription medications from David's supply on home surveillance film while they were apart, they never had a formal divorce. David said that custody and insurance were the reasons he stayed. May 2012 was Amanda's most recent arrest. Although the accusations were later withdrawn, it concerned child abuse. Amanda maintained a tight relationship with her kids despite everything she was going through. She didn't miss any of Jonathan's 89 football matches between 2005 and 2012. She hosted expensive birthday parties. She once leased a movie theater specifically for Katie's pals to see the film Can't Buy Me Love. She assisted in directing school productions of Grease, Annie, and The Wizard of Oz. She accumulated around 15,000 miles annually by driving Jonathan to football 4 days a week. She recorded almost 1,200 voice messages full of love and guidance for her children. She contributed $500 a month to their education fund even though she was on disability. She never consented to overnight hospital stays merely to tuck them in, and she planned all of her therapy around school pickups. On July 2, 2015, she shared her last Facebook post, which featured a picture of Katie's artwork and the words, "My daughter is my world." However, Amanda's suffering continued to worsen and began to manifest itself in public. She was stopped for speeding in Greeley, Colorado, in October 2000. Her car had marijuana and drug paraphernalia, according to the police. It was her first arrest, and she was only 28. Not much about it was covered by the media at the time. However, some close to Amanda claimed that she was already using marijuana to ease the pain of her adolescent years. Then, when intoxicated, she struck a parked automobile in 2003. She had twice the permitted amount of alcohol in her blood. Everything changed that night. Amanda eventually talked about how a man twice her age had abused her when she was 15 while she was in treatment. For years, she had kept that secret. However, she didn't remain clean after treatment. She resumed her drinking. She was in too much pain. She got into a pub brawl in 2005. When someone said something she didn't like, she had been drinking. The bar descended into turmoil after Amanda punched the woman. It had to be broken up by police. She was detained for almost 3 months after being arrested once again. She had shed 25 pounds and seemed completely different when she got out. According to her family, she acted irate and paranoid. The addiction was only growing worse, and she was afraid. Then 2010 arrived. When Amanda and her boyfriend got into an argument, the police arrived. She was already inebriated at the beginning of the afternoon. Serious concerns were raised when her daughter was with her earlier that day. While taking medicine for ADHD and bipolar disorder, Amanda had been advised not to drink. Nevertheless, she did. She changed because of that mix. She assaulted her boyfriend. She even got into a fight with the police. That instance demonstrated the extent of her issues. Then everything fell apart in 2012. Amanda was detained once more on May 3, and this time, her mugshot went viral. It displayed a face that the outside world hardly recognized. Her body was frail, her cheekbones were hollow, and she had a black eye. She was under 90 pounds. Drug-related equipment was discovered in her vehicle. Once illuminating the screen, Amanda had resorted to strong narcotics. Online users made fun of her. A meme was created from her mugshot. They were blind to the years of suffering, the unresolved trauma, and the quiet she carried. She passed away from an unintentional morphine overdose in 2015, 3 years later. That widely shared picture of her was merely a harsh reminder of how far a person may descend when suffering is hidden. It appeared as though Amanda Peterson had it everything. She played Cindy Mancini in the popular film Can't Buy Me Love in 1986 when she was just 15 years old. A budding star with a radiant grin and innate charisma was seen to the globe. However, something tragic occurred behind the scenes while Amanda was winning people over on film. In the same year, a 27-year-old male sexually abused her. He was almost twice as old as she was. At the time, Amanda didn't tell anyone. She felt embarrassed, so she kept it to herself, buried in quiet. Sylvia, her mother, subsequently stated that Amanda didn't want anyone to know because she was afraid of being judged. Amanda kept her pain hidden for 2 whole years. Amanda's demeanor began to shift after the incident. Dr. James Peterson, her father, claimed that she had lost something of herself. She grew defensive and reclusive. She no longer had the dazzling light in her eyes that everyone observed. She appeared nervous and less trusting on movie sets. The reason why people observed the shift was unknown. She remained silent about the incident. She was merely an adolescent attempting to hide something that had internally damaged her. Only in 1988 did Amanda finally come clean to her family. It took place during a collapse of emotions. She confided in her mother while they were living together in Los Angeles, but she still didn't want to disclose anything. She feared that her career would end if the story was made public. In the late 1980s, young ladies did not feel comfortable speaking the truth about such things in the film industry. Amanda thought she would be held accountable or banned. According to her sister, Amanda must have been unable to endure the weight of that secret. 3 years after the attack, in 1989, Amanda received a bipolar disorder diagnosis. Her family thought it was brought on by the tragedy. She found it difficult to work and interact with others because of her mood fluctuations. Audits become very challenging. It was more difficult to maintain relationships. Even small things were overpowering because of the huge swings in her emotions. Nevertheless, she never talked about what had happened to her in detail. She made an effort to continue, but she was in excruciating pain on the inside. Amanda started using heroin in the 1990s. She later used meth as well. Her mother said that she began using drugs in an attempt to numb the agony. Amanda was not interested in feeling anything. She used medications as a coping mechanism, but they also prevented her from getting better. She tried to stop, going in and out of therapy. However, the addiction was deeply ingrained in her. Amanda wants to share her tale during those last years. There were whispers that she was going to write a book. It was never completed. However, her family revealed the truth she had held for decades to the public 2 months after her death in 2015. The remainder of her life was influenced by the rape she had when she was 15. Not even her sister knew till after her death. So much was explained by that fact. The reasons for her difficulties. Why she never felt safe again after falling. On July 5, 2015, Amanda passed away. In Greeley, Colorado, she was 43 years old and living alone in an apartment. People initially believed it might be drugs once more, but the reality was more nuanced. Amanda had recently had a hysterectomy and was on medicine for lung and heart problems. Her system contained 6 times the recommended amount of gabapentin, one of those drugs. However, she wasn't killed by that. The substance that posed the greatest threat was morphine, which she wasn't even prescribed. In an attempt to relieve some agony, she had received it from a friend. However, it proved to be too much for her body to cope with. Amanda also suffered from sleep apnea, a disorder that causes breathing to cease while you're asleep. That made using morphine much more risky. Her respiration was hindered by the morphine, and her body was unable to recover. According to the toxicology report, Amanda also used marijuana and a few other prescription drugs, but her dosages were all within acceptable bounds. There was no plan for the overdose. It was an error. Amanda had no intention of dying. She didn't realize how harmful that combination of drugs was for someone with her health problems. She was only trying to alleviate the pain. According to the coroner, she was attempting self-medication when she made the choice that ultimately led to her death. At one point, Amanda Peterson's presence had illuminated the screen. She had admirers everywhere. Beneath that grin, however, was a girl who had endured silent suffering and struggled to live in a world that never allowed for her suffering. Her death wasn't merely a tragedy. It was a story's last chapter that has never achieved calm after beginning with trauma. Despite being only 43, she was never given the opportunity to be heard completely. However, the truth is now at last known. And perhaps that truth might help others express themselves, find healing, and feel less alone.